Hey guys, welcome to a new video on my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 list of the most aesthetic bodybuilders of all time, in my opinion, of course. Before I begin, I want to remind you guys that this is merely my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own, and I'm completely and 100% open to hearing what you guys have to think on this topic. There definitely are some bodybuilders that you could replace or interchange on this list, and I would be open to hearing them, like I said. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's go into the list. In the 10th spot, we have Labrada, who embodied the idea of mass with class. He was an amazing poser and was able to showcase his beautifully filled out frame to a T, having wide clavicles, a small waist, and overall great proportions. Labrada was never lacking in muscle and always came in relatively good condition. However, his smaller stature stopped him from advancing any further on this list. In the ninth spot is Charles Claremont, who had an insanely aesthetic physique. Big arms with peaked biceps, a great V taper with flaring lats, immense detail within his abdominal region. Guys, come on, take a look at his abs. That's crazy, the development. His back was also amazing, as it had tons of muscular development, and his lower half, mainly, his legs, looked pretty pleasing as well. He had one of the most symmetrical physiques. You guys can see that he is pleasing, but lacks a wow factor. And, that kind of caused him to not really have anything that catches your eye, unlike the next guy on our list. Brian Buchanan takes the 8th spot on this list. And wow, guys, take a look at that midsection. Wow is all you can say, right? Buchanan probably had the best V taper in bodybuilding history, or at least the most aesthetic one. He had great muscular development, came in with good conditioning, had amazing arms, a crazy vacuum pose, flaring lats, and a great overall development. I will say that his legs never really matched his upper body, which definitely hinders his placings in the aesthetics department. But the upper body, guys, come on, mainly in the front shots, just screams aesthetics. A genetic marvel indeed, and an aesthetic specimen at that. A lot of you may be mad at this, but Arnold is taking the 7th spot on this list. While many consider him the most aesthetic or the most perfect physique, I don't really see it. I will give him credit though. The front double and the side chest poses are two of his best and look really, really aesthetic. He had insane proportions, huge arms, and a huge chest, but lacked in some areas like in the quads and hamstrings. Not the calves though. He was a masterful poser and was able to showcase his wide clavicles and booming upper body in the best light and hide his flaws like a little bit wider of a rib cage and midsection and, lacking legs. Again, his proportions were just so different from the competition and made him stand out amongst them. For these reasons, Arnold deserves to be on this list. No higher nor no lower. This is more so of a personal addition, but Kevin Levrone takes the 6th spot on this list. You guys may think I'm crazy, but I am a bit biased because Levrone is one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time. Just look at the video on screen, guys. A small waist, great abdominal development, overall good proportions and muscular development, and great symmetry. His 3D muscle bellies in his arms really give him that wow factor, and I feel that he has a perfect balance between aesthetics and freakiness. He was definitely more aesthetic earlier on in his career, however, even with more mass later on, he was still amazing. In his best years, he presented some of the most eye pleasing packages, and I do believe he deserves to be on this list. Once again, some of you may be mad at me with this placing, so in the 5th place spot, I have Frank Zane. A lot of you guys consider this guy to be the father of aesthetics, or even the most pleasing physique. While I do agree to some extent, I feel that Zane isn't as good as the next four, but close. He never had insane mass, but flowed so damn well, which meant that he never outmassed his opponents. Rather, he outposed them with his artistic style. His quintessential pose was his vacuum shot, which I think he pulls off the best. I feel like this is the physique 99% of people would want to have, and for that reason, he rightfully places 5th. In the 4th place spot, I have Serge Dubry. He had a statuesque physique in any pose, even while relaxed. He had full, round muscle bellies from head to toe, and in my opinion, had some of the best abdominal development, albeit they were not the most symmetrical. He had great development from the front and back, and every muscle flowed perfectly into the other. I feel like he perfectly encapsulates a superhero physique, with his body being almost perfect. There really isn't much more that I can say, guys, because he just is that good, and he deserves to be fourth on this list, in my opinion. In number three, I have Bob Paris. In my opinion, he combined the massive Nubret with the aesthetics of Zane and put it all together into a symmetrical, perfect physique. And to top it all off, he was an amazing poser. He had perfect symmetry, a small waist, great abdominals, and, nothing really freaky, just pure elegance and class. Like Nubret, there isn't much else to say about him. He was a great bodybuilder who truly embodied a more classical, aesthetic era of bodybuilding. Just before I continue, guys, I want to mention that the last three guys, namely Frank Zane, Serge Dubry, and, Bob Paris, could all be interchanged to say. I mean, they kind of have very similar physiques and similar development, and this is just my opinion. You guys could definitely flip them around and let me know in the comments what you guys think. And before I go into the top two, I want to ask if you guys liked the video so far, please, consider liking and subscribing. Really means a lot. Now let's get into the top two. Sean Ray takes the second place spot on this list. Like Labrada, Ray was a smaller bodybuilder. However, he packed on so much more size and had a lot more wow factor. I mean, the crazy V-taper, flaring lats, great arms, and perfect back, and not to mention his phenomenal conditioning all help him reach this spot. His aesthetics were off the charts, and he arguably had the best midsection in bodybuilding history, if that doesn't say something about his symmetry. It's as if he combined the last three guys and just added 90s mass and conditioning. I think his display on screen speaks for itself, and hopefully you guys see where I'm coming from. The reason he doesn't win this list is most definitely because of his stature, because the winner had everything Ray has, plus the height advantage. So, you guys may have seen it coming, but in the number one spot, I have Flex Wheeler. I mean, first off, his nickname was the Sultan of Symmetry, if that doesn't speak for itself. He had round muscles, crazy insertions, unbeatable symmetry, and a perfect structure. Every muscle was full, ripped, and conditioned, and when he brought it big time. His earlier physiques were some of his best. However, even later ones, like the one on screen, show his cartoonish proportions and supervillain-esque aesthetics. People will bring up Synthol, and personally, I don't care. It doesn't take away from the fact that Flex brought the most aesthetic physique of all time to the stage. I don't believe anyone can come close to having all the tools Flex had, and for that reason, he is number one. So that about does it for my top 10 most aesthetic bodybuilders list. If you guys liked the video, like I said earlier, please consider liking and subscribing. It really means a lot. Thank you for sticking around to the end if you have, and thank you once again. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.